Namaskar. Welcome to today's, that is the 5th day's live session, SP Swayam Prabha live session for the 9th batch of NEP-PDP. Dear colleagues and participants, welcome to this session. Yesterday you had an interesting session, NEP-2020 online learning and higher education. Today also we will have another very important theme. Important discipline-oriented theme we are going to discuss, NEP 2020 agricultural education. I think that's a very important theme. Agricultural education, what is the emphasis given in the NEP 2020, and beyond that one, how the agricultural education has to move. For this we have my senior colleague, Professor S.K. Yadav. He is a professor of agriculture. In the School of Agricultural Studies, we have a School of Agriculture, separate school, where we have a 2-3 specialized areas in that. He will talk about that one. He is a senior faculty of the school. I think to introduce him is a little difficult because he is actively involved in the corporate life of the university. That much I can say, with a total devotion and dedication. I think distance education system, you are all very good. It is a teamwork. It is a total dedication is required. I think he joined the university in 2006. Yeah, 2006. I think from then onwards, there's no looking back. Though he is coming from a Indian Council of Agriculture Research Institute, that's a scientific-based institute. He moved to the university, and naturally the experience there has really helped the designing and developing the agricultural programs through distance mode. I think that's a very good. Friends, I think he has done his doctorate in the agronomy and the theme studies of weed dynamics in rice wheat cropping system in special reference to Phalaris maize, year 2002, from the very renowned university, GB Pant University Agriculture and Technology, Pantnagar, Uttarakhand. I think it's even MSc is from that place. That's how the that is a reputed institution in the area of agriculture. I think that university is totally devoted, dedicated to the discipline of agriculture. I think he has come from that institute. And after that, he joined as a scientist in ICAR in 1998. He was there for almost 5-6 years in the ICAR. And then he moved in 2006 to IGNO. At the IGNO, he joined as an associate professor, and then he became a professor of agriculture, and then he headed the school 2 times. I think that's why when I said that corporate life of university is an indication what extent, how rigorously you are involved in corporate life. I think Professor Yadav, without hesitation from my side, he has participated in various activities of the university life. Particularly distance education is needed, senior faculty involving the corporate life. I think otherwise the systems won't move on the expected lines. That much I can say that. And then he was I think as a director School of Education, School of Agriculture twice, he was de facto chairperson of the Horticulture. We have a beautiful campus. I think those colleagues we have seen must be related. Those colleagues we have not seen. It is a very beautiful campus with a greenery, and then beautifully maintained gardens and lawns. I think horticulture cell works a lot, but they need a direction. I think that direction used to come from him, and still he is the horticulture chairman. I think he takes care of the things in summer and in winter and all those things. Very, and then he was in charge director for a school of law. We have a school of law. For a brief period he was there as in charge, and as a vigilance officer, I think for a year or so. When I said in the beginning corporate life, this is the indication. I think that's what. And then of course director School of Agriculture. This is a basic school which he belongs as a professor of agriculture twice, because it is a directorship is rotated among the professors. Naturally he has completed his twice, 3 years plus 3 years. And that's a very good achievement for any colleague. I think he has quite a few research papers in his specialized area of agriculture, and then as I said it, quite a few programs. He will explain that what type of programs in the School of Agriculture while explaining the policy and related issue. With these things, I welcome Professor Yadav for the session. Before I hand it over, I have one or two requests to all the colleagues who are watching. This is the 5th day Swayam Prabha Live. Final Swayam Prabha Live session for this batch 9 is tomorrow. Tomorrow is the, I think, announcement will come. Somebody will, expert will come and interact with you tomorrow at the same time, 3 to 4. So don't miss this session. That's what I want to ask. And second thing is, on this particular theme, you can ask the questions through Swayam Prabha chart and even a YouTube channel. You are interacting with us through the questions. We can ask it. And then once tomorrow the last session is over, Swayam Prabha live session, after that you will have 2 to 3 days to take up the tests. That is a DF test and the final test on the Swayam channel. Because many colleagues are confused that they wanted to take because they are attending these sessions, they thought that this is the way I will give that exam tests also. No, you have to go to Swayam channel where your welcome message has the credentials for the Swayam channel entering. Once you enter that, there are a number of video programs developed by the experts on various themes of NEP. That you go through that, and then we have the discussion forum, and then at the end of that Swayam Prabha, Swayam channel you enter, you have a test also. I think test we have to do. This is the procedure. You will follow it. With these words, without taking much time, I will hand it over the session to Professor Yadav. Yeah.
Thank you, Professor Murthy. I'm really delighted to hear from you that I have a contribution in the university, and thank you, sir, if such words are coming from senior colleagues like you. Namaskar to all the audience, and thank you very much for joining this session. Today we are here to discuss about National Education Policy 2020 and its reflections on the agriculture education in this country. As you know that this National Education Policy has come after a long wait in this country, and National Education Policy has advocated several drastic changes in the entire curriculum of this country, entire pedagogy of this country. Therefore, we must focus each and every aspect of the education in this country, and in that line, this agriculture education comes as one of the streams where maximum number of the students belonging to the rural areas are involved. Now, without emphasizing about the importance of agriculture, let us just think that agriculture is backbone of economy of this country, and it has always proven a source of life which has given food to all of us, and therefore there is no need to re-emphasize the importance of agriculture. Now, if we are doing agriculture, do we need education? Yes, because there has been a lot of changes taking place in the field, of the field. In the field means when you are doing agriculture, you must be interacting with the nature, interacting with the crop. And off the field means some problems which are resolved by the scientist in the lab or agricultural education institutions. So off the field and on the field, both kinds of educations are involved in the agriculture system. So the importance of agriculture and agriculture education has paramount in this country since ages. Now, if you talk about the origin of agriculture, and that too in the form of sustainable agriculture, then certainly you have to rate India as number 1 in the entire world. Because if you read the history of agriculture, which is almost 10,500 years old, ever since the recorded evidences are available in this continent, you will see that the agriculture has mostly confined in the erstwhile Indian subcontinent, which has in large presence. Right now it is divided in many of the neighboring countries also. So if you see the GDP of this particular sector in the Indian economy, it contributed around 80% at the time of the independence. Now it ranges around 14 to 15% at present. Therefore, you can just see that at the time of our independence, how much agriculture was contributing to the livelihood as well as employment, or even if you take the example of present connotation or present expressions, that is food security, how much it was relevant to the food security. The livelihood of the most of the Indians is attributed to the agriculture and its associated cottage industries. You will see more than 97% of the employment in our unorganized sector belongs to agriculture. So agriculture has and will remain a very significant enterprise in the Indian subcontinent or Indian soil. So for better agriculture, a right agriculture education is must. Now, if you see the agriculture education in India, then you will first find out that agriculture education was imparted in the Gurukul education system, where the students were given Siksha, means teaching, Diksha means hands-on, practical, Bhiksha when they were allowed to go and roam around the kingdom or in their areas for begging or arranging food for their own consumption, and the last but not the least was the agriculture. That was a cultivation of the crops as well as the animal husbandry. So you can just imagine that how the Indian ancestors have already thought of the importance of agriculture, and accordingly they have devised the mechanism of teaching agriculture through the Gurukul system to the basic learners. Rather, if you see in the picture, there is a one cow going around the hut. So it depicts that how much relevance of agriculture was ever since the children starts the education. So we have to remodel our education system in that way that agriculture somehow should be included in the curriculum from the beginning of the children's learning, and that has been very much focused in the National Education Policy 2020 that I will come later on. So if you see the agriculture education, it is multidisciplinary. There are many sciences, social sciences, health sciences, and even if you talk about the basic fundamental sciences, they are all part of the agricultural education. It has robust pedagogy. It provides both knowledge and skill both at the same time. Therefore, there is an involvement of theory and field experiences. When we impart agriculture education, it is ensured that we should teach the student as well as also give the exposure for field experiences or field experiments or field hands-on. So and one more thing which is very important, that agriculture education is always there with the modern scientific knowledge, with traditional wisdom, traditional knowledge, traditional indigenous technical knowledge. So you can just think about that how much matured mode of education as well as the education of agriculture is. So it is a pure stream at secondary and senior secondary level in many of the states. The state from which I belong is Uttar Pradesh. I have been undergone this agriculture education in my secondary as a pure stream as well as in senior secondary as a pure stream. So such education systems exist in many parts of the country. Even Rajasthan is one of them. And even in Madhya Pradesh also there are schools where this agriculture education is imparted at secondary and senior secondary. Even at class 8 level also there are provision of two vocational courses. Of course, this is one of the best vocational courses for Indian subcontinent, that is agriculture, available for the class 8 student. That is, one is home science and another is agriculture. So, and if you see that at higher education level, agriculture universities and colleges are also available. The British government has established one of the 4 colleges which I am showing in this picture. There were 4 colleges in 1897. They were established. One was in Madras, another was in Sabor, Bihar, and the third was in Ludhiana, and the fourth was in Layalpur, Punjab of Pakistan. So now you can see the focus of the government and importance of agriculture, that the universities have been especially dedicating to agriculture education have been established in this country. And right now we have more than 75 agricultural universities. If you take the education in animal husbandry and also education in fishery sciences together with the core agriculture, that is core crop sciences. So you can just visualize the importance of agriculture education in this country. And many higher institutions of higher education in agriculture, particularly college and experimental labs, were established by Britishers during colonial period. One such example exists is still PUSA. PUSA was established in 1905 at Pusa in Bihar, and later on there was massive earthquake and a building was demolished, and in 1929 it was shifted from Pusa to Delhi, and presently it is again the same place has been named as Pusa, and where we have right now Indian Agriculture Research Institute, that is IARI. So crop production, animal husbandry, fishery and other subsidiary activities like beekeeping, mushroom, lag production, algae production, manure production, shift, and also the insect studies, all are part of the agriculture education. So that is why in the beginning itself I just projected that agriculture education is a multidisciplinary education system, or if you can just say in another word that agriculture science is a science of sciences. So that way it is having a lot of implication in this country, and I feel privileged that today I am speaking in front of all of you to highlight and to re-emphasize the importance of agriculture education, and particularly in the context of the National Education Policy 2020, which is right now a driving vehicle for the education in this country, and in time to come we will see the implications of, or the good things which will happen through the objectives of the National Education Policy, including the agriculture education. Dear viewers, if you see the earliest records of the agriculture education that exist during Mahabharat period, if you read the Mahabharat epic, you will see that the agriculture was one of the 5 craft subjects. Craft means where the people were asked to do something, to do hands-on, to do practical, rather taking lecture or only listening or reading from books. They had to undertake certain activities, certain dedicated activities which were related to their day-to-day life, day-to-day livelihood, and day-to-day agriculture-related activities and animal husbandry. The great Pandavas, Nakul and Sahadev, were trained veterinarians of that time. So you can visualize the importance of animal husbandry, which is part of the agriculture, how much it was there during ages in this country. So, during Upanishad period, there is a record that each of the student had to grow one crop during his or her education, as it was part of the practical subjects. In fact, in most of the Gurukuls, the males were allowed to study in far-flung areas. Therefore, they used to grow one crop at a time during their study, and they were to explain the process of their cultivation package of practices, which they have learned through their visit in the kingdom and the villages, where they were learning about the social structure of the rural areas of the village. The great centers of learning of ancient India like Taxila, Nalanda, Vapi, they all focused about agriculture education in their curriculum. In Taxila, there were 18 subjects when that time it was at the peak, and out of 18, agriculture was one of them. And in Mughal era also, agriculture education was focused, and even Mughals emphasized that agriculture education must be imparted from primary school level, now which has been reflected in the National Education Policy. I am just highlighting that how much importance agriculture education received during different periods in this country. So if you see during 1937, when Abbott Wood report came, it indicated that since the agriculture is the main profession in the villages of this country, so agriculture education is necessary at junior high and senior high school levels. That time the notion for secondary and senior secondary schools were junior high and senior high schools respectively. Even Gandhiji wrote an article on education in Harjan, one of the leading newspaper of during his period, on 31st July 1937, which was later followed by a conference under his chair held on 22nd and 23rd October 1937, in which agriculture education was established as a vocational education. So you can just see that how much importance and the relevance of agriculture was in our lives since ages. So the proceeding of the conference later emerged at Vardha Scheme of Education in 1907. Similarly, Sargent report in 1944 also suggested compulsory agriculture education at senior secondary level. Now you can imagine that during British period, maximum revenue they were collecting from the farmers only. So you can just and even uprisings also started from the farmers areas also. So you can just imagine that agriculture was how much importance for this country, and it will remain important ever since this country exists on the earth planet. So later on, when the country got independence, Radhakrishnan Committee in 1948-49 suggested that India is an agrarian country. This country will get established in the world when sufficient agriculture production is realized. And that is true also. We are witnessing that how much we are importing and how much we are exporting. And accordingly, our entire forex is also affected. Here, the agriculture education should be given national importance. It is reflected in the Radhakrishnan Committee. The importance of agriculture education at primary, secondary and higher education institutions should be stressed in the national economic planning. Now, earlier agriculture education was confined to the kingdoms. Later on, it was shifted to the national core of the development policies. It also suggested that rural schools should be connected with the rural universities, and each school and colleges must have experimental farm. It means there is ample scope, there is ample advocacy for the hands-on, for the practical experiences of the agricultural education students wherever they are learning. Similarly, when Acharya Narendra Dev Committee report came in 1953, which was about the reform in the education of this country, in that report also, it was indicated that no institution should be allowed to offer agriculture education until the institution has 10 acres of land attached. The arrangement of agriculture implements should be made for the class 9 and 10 students. Now this agricultural implements means tools and equipments, which we are right now calling them agricultural machinery. So you can just imagine that how much our farmer or the old gods of education in this country have emphasized the agriculture education to be imparted in the relevant manner. So therefore, in that line of advocacy, this particular committee recommended like this. And it further, in 1966-67, the Kothari Commission on Education, which is a great dent on the education in this country, it says that a special emphasis should be placed on development of education for agriculture and industry. There should be at least one agriculture university in every state. And these should be, as far as possible, be single campus universities, but wherever necessary, they may have some constituent colleges on different campuses. Other universities may also be assisted, where the necessary potential exists to develop strong departments for the study of one or more aspects of agriculture. So right now, we are witnessing that there are many single campus agricultural universities, and there are many universities where agriculture colleges are attached. And of course, there are many universities, like one of them I can cite, or rather two universities I can give example of, Aligarh Muslim University and Banaras Hindu University, which are university with agriculture as one of their disciplines. So this particular committee report says again there should be a continuous review of the agriculture, industrial and other technical manpower needs of the country, and efforts should be made continuously to maintain a proper balance between the output of the educational institution and employment opportunities. So in agriculture, we have never focused about particularly that training or teaching agriculture education for some job, some government job or something. Rather, it was always emphasized that agriculture education should be imparted to empower a person to become a prosperous farmer and a learner who can become not a job seeker but job provider, which we are right now talking in different at different fora, that there must be production of such intellectuals, such individuals who is not job seeker, rather job provider. So agriculture has that kind of potential. Agriculture education is meant to empower such society, such persons. So vocationalization of education, especially at the senior secondary school level, to meet the need of the industry, agriculture and trade, and improvement of scientific and technological education and research at university stage with special emphasis on agriculture and allied sciences. This is the core of agriculture education, which is reflected in the Kothari Commission on Education report, which came in 1966-67. Now coming to the National Education Policy 2020. Since this education policy has come after a long time in this country, and it has tried to maneuver the education in this country with different angles, taking the advancement happening with the technology, taking the advancement happening in our mindset, I would say. Our cognitive understanding is also different at present compared to our past colleagues. So this particular policy focused and objectively said that it wants to make this country Ek Bharat Shrestha Bharat, and the country should be one and excellent. It advocates about the need to teach children in local and regional or mother language to build their cognitive state of mind, to enable them to realize own values and culture. And here comes the role of agriculture education, which I will speak later on, how this national policy maneuvers about agriculture education. It further recommends that education must build character, enable learner to be ethical, rational, compassionate and caring, while at the same time prepare them for gainful, fulfilling and employment. In agriculture education, you must be compassionate, you must be caring, because you are dealing with the live products, whether it is animal or whether it is plant. Therefore, this particular objective of the national education policy, recommendation of the education policy, fits very well in the concept of agriculture education. Here the role of agriculture education comes. So about agriculture education, the National Education Policy 2020 recommends that revival of agriculture education with all allied disciplines. Now you can imagine that there is again reflection on the same points which have been reflected by our past policies, that we must have a university which has multiple disciplines in one campus. And initiating agriculture education at a school level by appointing master instructors to promote and preserve local knowledge and professions. Now, this agriculture profession is more than, I have already spoken, that almost 11,000 years old profession. You can imagine that how much repository of knowledge it has. Now, do we need to forget them? Do we need to, just overlook them? No, we certainly need to preserve them. We must preserve them, try on the scientific scales, and wherever there is need of refinement, that can be done, and they must be brought from one generation to generation without any hesitation, without any issue, so that our agriculture flourishes. And if agriculture flourishes, certainly this country will also flourish. So although agriculture universities comprises approximately 9% of all universities in this country, but if you see the enrollment in agriculture and allied sector, it is less than 1% at the gross enrollment ratio of this country. So it is 0.69 precisely. Both capacity and quality of agriculture and allied disciplines must be improved in order to increase agriculture productivity through better skilled graduates and technicians, innovative research and market-based extension linked to technologies and practices. These are the objectives of, or what you call the recommendations of the National Education Policy with respect to agriculture. So one take I can just highlight is that this particular policy 2020 recommends agriculture education from school level. Of course, it is there in other policies, but certainly it re-emphasizes, or at present there are technological developments, there are many kinds of development, digital development, and other revolutions are there. So in that era, in this era, we can just tune this agriculture education so that it can fit at different levels, right from school to the university levels. Similarly, this National Education Policy also recommends that preparation of professionals in agriculture and veterinary sciences through programs integrated with general education should also be increased sharply. And knowledge of India will include knowledge of traditional agriculture, and same shall be incorporated in a school curriculum. Again, it is re-emphasizing about the preservation and reutilization of the traditional wisdom which our forefathers have gathered and refined and innovated during their course of action in agriculture. Specific courses in tribal ethno-medicinal practices, forest conservation should also be developed. Now, coming to the teaching agriculture, this is the important aspect which we have to discuss in today's lecture, today's discussion, I would say. So now you must have understood, or you must have simply seen that how much agriculture education has received the attention of the policymakers, attention of the different, I would say, kings or the institutions or the the different eras. So we simply need not to worry that we need something different in agriculture education. Rather, we have to simply look back to ourselves. Simply, we have to look back the institutions who have preserved the knowledge of agriculture, and there are many areas in this country where still agriculture is being done as per the existed practices of almost 5,000, 6,000, 4,000, 10,000 years. Like tribal areas, hilly areas, if you go there, you will see agriculture in its sustainable manner. People call it primitive. I will not call it primitive. I will call it sustainable, because you won't find any distress in the farmers, in the society living in those areas. So let us just think that how we should teach agriculture. Now, since this National Education Policy 2020 has already suggested and recommended, and we have to do that, agriculture education must start from the school level. Therefore, how you are going to do it? Suppose we as a teacher need to educate our children at primary school level, then what we need to do? Certainly we need to only demonstrate the things, because agriculture has live products. So you can just bring the children, demonstrate with them, discuss with them, devise small play with them, and you can simply talk while they are taking food, that how food is, from where food is coming, how these food ingredients are collected, like rice, flour, and pulses. And even you can take them for some fun walk in garden, and you can identify plants, and limited studies can be made. So that can actually bring a drastic change in the cognitive status of the children. So I think as a teacher, we must be focusing about devising a specific pedagogy for different levels, and every level will vary: primary, secondary, senior secondary, of course the higher education. So I will be discussing about those things separately. So suppose if you are a teacher of secondary and senior secondary school, then you must include 25 to 30% theory, like introductory part you discuss in the classroom, and then you take them maybe afternoon to their garden, to the field, and 75 to 80% must be included in the field visit and demonstration. A student may be encouraged to grow at least one plant during this time, because still I recall that in secondary and senior secondary old curriculum, the students are required to grow one crop, one seasonal crop, which is of 6-month duration. Say for example, potato, tomato, or any vegetable crop during winter season, or during summer season. Similarly, vegetables can be grown, which can be grown in a small area without much drudgery, without much requirements. So practical exercises on tools, processes, and of course on animals must be included in your curriculum, because the agriculture is incomplete without animals. So therefore, the importance of animals should start from the secondary and senior secondary students, and so that they are aware about the importance of animals in our life. Of course, the children are taught at primary school level about the animals, but in a different connotation. We must link the animals' utility and their uses in agriculture as well as in our daily life, whether it is through their product which we are consuming, like milk and other products, or any other thing which are related to the animals, like transportation. In many rural areas, still you will find that horse carts are there through which the people are being transported. People are going from one market or one place to another place through the use of those things. So they are also utilized equally in the agricultural processes, like plowing. In many areas you will find that these horses are used for plowing the field also. So likewise, we have to devise the pedagogy, we have to devise the mechanism of teaching agriculture in the secondary and senior secondary levels. Now, higher education at graduate and undergraduate and postgraduate levels, use of multimedia is must. And this university, Indira Gandhi National Open University, uses multimedia enormously in its curriculum, in its pedagogy, in its teaching learning process. And we must follow national curriculum framework. Now, you may be aware that Indian Council of Agricultural Research, ICAR, is the nodal agency in this country, which has Dean's Committee. There is one committee that is called Dean's Committee. This committee meets at every 5 years, and they evaluate the existing curriculum, and then they modify or they suggest the new curriculum of agriculture education at undergraduate and postgraduate levels. So we as a teacher must be aware, if we are in the higher education system, that national curriculum framework is there, where sufficient lab and theory, 50-50% provision are there. So we must be aware, and there must be practical crop and animal production sites. There must be in theory as well as in practical. And nowadays, the national education policy as well as the government of India has also advocated that there must be adoption of the villages for by the institutions, even including our institution also. We have also adopted many villages where we are imparting education, or we are intervening and we are bringing the higher education to the doorsteps of the villagers. Likewise, if you are from a higher education institution as a teacher, you must see that your institution has already adopted, or if has not already, then must adopt some villages where agriculture is done for the livelihood of the villagers. That will actually guide, that will teach the students the real practices, the practices which are happening at the farmer's field. Many a times we have seen that whatever we learn at the institutions, sometimes it is not applicable, or it doesn't gel with the existing package of practices. But if you have adopted and you have placed your children, students to learn the package of practices which are with the farmers for many years, or the existing, they can understand both the lab-based experiments as well as the package of practices being practiced by the farmers in their villages. So that will actually make them a true potential Indian farmers, a farmer which is equipped with not only the awareness about handling the digital media or the nitty-gritty of the modern day life, but also equally with the modern agriculture package of practices vis-a-vis the traditional wisdom. So adoption of villages are must with the institution, particularly where education is imparted in agriculture. Now, open and distance learning in agriculture is also happening, and our university, Indira Gandhi National Open University, is having one school of agriculture out of 21 schools of studies, and this particular school is dedicated to devise programs, undertake need-based training programs in the specialized and allied sectors of agriculture, and we have specialized certificate and diploma programs. We impart agriculture education with the help of multimedia, and of course we are also going in the online education. But hands-on experiences are must in the agriculture education. Therefore, it is imperative to see that how we are going to impart agriculture education. First of all, we must be aware the mode of its transaction, must be aware about the various package of practices which are happening, must be aware about the technologies which are available for the adoption of the farmers. So your education, actually agriculture education, will not only help the cognitive building of the learners or the farmers per se, but it will facilitate the adoption of the technologies which are otherwise dying in the labs only. So the transfer of technologies from lab to land and its effective adoption can only be enhanced with the effective agricultural education or agriculture education. So see that agriculture education is imparted in that way that you are not only focusing about a classroom based education, but it should also go hands-on, full experiences, full visits, full of discussions, and of course students should be allowed to go for practical crop production. Like if you see the requirements, the faculty must be trained to impart education based on science and traditional wisdom. Again, coming back to traditional wisdom. Traditional wisdoms in agriculture must be included in your curriculum. Without that, it is incomplete. Agriculture education is location specific. agricultural production is agroecological based, agriculture production system is agroecology based or location based activity, therefore it should be imparted in that way also, in local language, in mother tongue, or if it is highlighted at the national level, of course any language can be used, but we have to ensure that at grassroots level, when we are bringing a technology from lab to land, there must be sufficient awareness in the trainer about the traditional wisdom of agriculture of that locality. So like about weather information, soil information, plant information, animal husbandry, insect and disease of plant and animal. I mean, you have to have information about all these aspects, product development, preservation and value-added product and many other things. Even a small example I can cite, that you must be aware that wheat is sown, for example, in X area at what time, what is the best time, what is the mid time and what is the late time, and after which date a person cannot go for sowing of wheat in that particular locality. For example, if you take example of Karimnagar district of Andhra Pradesh, then you will find that best quality rice seeds are produced in that area and farmers are growing almost 3 crops of rice in 1 year. Every time they are growing rice. So if you are a teacher from say northern India, you must be then aware about the local package of practices, how it is being developed there, how farmers are doing, if you are supposed to teach the farmers of Karimnagar or even in Andhra Pradesh. So likewise, just one example I have cited. So updated training to the faculty is must to be able to teach to discuss the agriculture education with the learners, and sufficient practical facilities at the school, college or university levels like lab, field and animal rearing center must be there. So traditional knowledge and agriculture like seasonal knowledge, significance of day as I have already spoken, temperature, humidity, effective sunshine period of that locality where you are going to teach, or even if you are teaching in the classroom, you must narrate these things to the students, how they are effective, how much they are relevant for your crop production, for your animal rearing, or even quote unquote I would say it is for the food production. So rainfall, harvesting period, post-harvest management, storage. Storage is very important for the farmers and there is a science behind it, even in terms of your planetary movement also, how it is being affected. You have to understand as a teacher and as a learner, we have to know that how we are going to deal with these once we are landing in the area of agriculture production. So animal husbandry, of course, the domestic health management is very important, and agro waste management and recycling, these are another aspect of agriculture. Modern agriculture as well as past agriculture, these things have been at their helm, and it has proven that how much they are significant to the agriculture or food production. So practical crop production and animal production must be included in our curriculum. That will actually at higher education level, that will enable the learners to have hands-on and to learn about the real package of practices which can be practiced by them once they are going for field experiment in their agriculture or in. So this is what if you are as a teacher, if you are evaluating, then of course theory exam and practical exam both you can undertake and you can devise suitable mechanism for the evaluation. So thank you very much for listening me patiently. Thank you.
Namaskar. Thank you very much, Yadav Saab, for such an excellent presentation.